Blanche, but by Donald Trump himself, that he understood the rules of the road in that courtroom. The judge says, and particularly on page 3, as defendant's own arraignment on April 4th, 2023. Have I already mentioned that I love the fact that he only calls him defendant? He doesn't give Trump any other title. At defendant's arraignment on April 4th, 2023, this court asked counsel for both parties to speak to your witnesses. Defense counsel, speak to your client and remind them to please refrain from making statements that are likely to incite violence or civil unrest. Please refrain from making comments or engaging in conduct that has the potential to incite violence, create civil unrest, or jeopardize the safety or well-being of any individual. Please do not engage in words or conduct which will jeopardize the rule of law, particularly as it applies to these proceedings in this courtroom. The court then said to Mr. Trump, you have the right to be present at every stage of the proceedings, and that is obviously a very, very important right because it allows you to assist your attorneys in your defense. It allows them to consult with you. I think it's advantageous to have the jurors, if there is a jury, to see you present. So for all these reasons, I'm sure you can appreciate to be present at your trial and proceedings is important. I'm required by law to inform you that there are ways that you can waive your right, and I refer you to 2 specific areas. After the judge went through, do you understand your right to be present at your own trial? Defendant Mr. Trump said yes. And then the court said a second way you can lose your right to what you can lose your right if you become disruptive. If you become disruptive to such a degree that it affects my ability to preside over the case, I do have the authority to remove you from the courtroom and continue in your absence. Try you in abstention. Do you understand this, Defendant Mr. Trump? I do. That's from the arraignment transcript from April 4th of 2023. The judge is reciting that here for a reason. To remind Donald Trump that he's not going to put up with the shenanigans, the acting out, the violent attacks, and the disruptive behavior that he exhibited in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, where he tried to give his own closing argument, where he continued to harangue and harass the judge. This judge has a jury to protect, has criminal justice to protect, and reminded Donald Trump that Donald Trump acknowledged it. So when Donald Trump does act out, he's not going to testify, he's going to take the Fifth Amendment, but when he acts out in court, throws up his hands, rolls his eyes, tries to influence the jury, snickers, and if the judge doesn't want to hear it any longer, he's going to say, Mr. Trump, I warned you at your arraignment, you acknowledged my power, my ability to ban you from this court with disruptive behavior, and if you interfere with my ability to preside over this trial, that's what he's going to do before he throws the book at him. He also went through in the transcript where he said to Todd Blanche, the lawyer for Donald Trump, he said on page 5 of the transcript, and did you explain to your client, he said, the court says now, did you explain to your client that this order constitutes a mandate of the court, this one about how he needs to act and perform and the limits on his statements made outside the courtroom? And he said, did you explain this to the court, Mr. Blanche? And Mr. Blanche said, the lawyer for Donald Trump, yes, he understands. He has to comply with the order. If he doesn't do, he's violating your honor's court order. And the judge went on to say, and a violation of a court mandate could result in sanctions. There are a wide range of sanctions. They could include up to a finding of contempt. You can explain that to your client. And Mr. Blanche said, understood, Your Honor. And so this is the ruling now of the judge in a decision and order. And this is not the last order we're going to see. There's still other motions concerning witnesses and evidence and arguments and witnesses and jurors yet to be made by Judge Merchan. We're watching a judge with full command after years on the bench and a sophisticated knowledge of how criminal courts work and the criminal justice system works, even when the other person on the other side of the V is Donald Trump. And we're going to follow everything that happens on the March 25th start of that trial. Pick up the jury. We'll have legal AF commentators, such as my colleague and friend, Karen Friedman-Tifilo, former member of the Manhattan DA's office. She was the #2 lawyer in there to give us her insight. Not so much her inside knowledge, she was involved in this prosecution, but her insight. Only one place, Midas Touch, on Legal AF, every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this YouTube channel. And then on hot takes just like this one. where we do the intersection of law, politics, and justice like no other podcast. If you like lawyers talking about things where they know what they're talking about at the intersection of law, politics, and justice, it's one place, Legal AF. So, until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with the algorithmic gods. It keeps us on the air. This is Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.
What do you got there?
Hall of Fame WWE ring. It was issued to Paul Bear.
WWE, the sort of wrestling thing.
Sort of wrestling thing.
My kids thought it was the greatest thing in the world, and then I would tell my kids it's fake, and they'd go, "Shut up, Dad."
This ring was issued to Paul Bear's family. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame after he passed away. I became friends with the family over the last few years, and they gave the ring to me. I want to sell the ring today to get as much money as I can for me and the family that it belongs to.
Paul Bear, that was like the Undertaker's manager or something like that?
Correct.
They put like white powder on his face to make him really look macabre, and he had like an urn he walked